My name is Lisa. I'm with Queen Bee Creations. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Twin Falls, Idaho. Like I said, today we're going to be casing this card. This is something that an idea that got sparked by looking at the catalog from Stampin' Up! And I decided to case it. CASE stands for Copy and Share Everything. And so that's a term that us Stampin' Up! People use for using something as inspiration. Oop, oop. There we go. This card right here is the one that caught my eye and that I made in blue. And today we're going to do it in Lovely Lipstick. It's part of Sale-a-bration, which is Stampin' Up's biggest sale of the year. This is where for every $50 that you spend, you get a level 1 thank you item, which can be a free stamp set, a pack of designer series paper, a small kit, lots of fabulous ideas. And for every $100, you get a level 2, which could be a punch, a set of framelits, you know, something a little bit bigger. There's no limit to all the free stuff that you can earn, but it's only while supplies last. So if there's something out there that sparks your interest, you want to go ahead and grab it. In addition to getting your free Sale-a-bration item, you would also get the free tutorials from me. For each $30 order that you guys place, I send you a PDF of tutorials for 6 different cards. So you definitely want that. This time it's on the Heartfelt bundle. And then also if you have a really long wish list, then you may want to consider going with our starter kit because it's a fabulous deal. There's no strings, no obligations, but right now you can pick out $125 worth of product, whatever you want. You choose an additional stamp set, which could be up to $45. And then you also get the mini paper trimmer and a sampling of our designer series paper. And then you also get a paper pumpkin kit. So that's like $210 worth of product for $99, and they ship it for free. I mean, what a deal, right? If you decide that's it. That's it. You don't have to do anything more. You just, wait it out and drop and no big deal. If you decide that you wanted to order more after you have gotten your kit, you get a minimum of 20% off, and that discount will last until a minimum of the end of July. So if you want more details, it's all over my blog, and of course you can talk to me about it. I have lots of hobby demos in my group, and they're just happy shoppers getting their discount. If that interests you, let me know. Like I said, today we're going to be working on that little card that's inspired by the Sale-a-bration brochure. So here's our workspace, and this is our card. Like I said, this is from the Stampin' Up! Sale-a-bration brochure, and I'm using this Thoughtful Blooms, which I got for free with a $50 order. And then if you wanted to, you could even get the punch with a $100 order. So for $150 in product that's going to be a great deal for you anyway, you could also get the punch and this stamp set, and then there's even DSPs that'll go with it. So lots of fun stuff. If you place an order, have a party, get up to $300, you can also add this free little ladybug set to your order. So like I said, lots and lots and lots of free stuff, and it's only while supplies last. So if you caught something in there that looked interesting, might want to jump on it because it's not going to last forever. They're while supplies last. So on to our card. Like I said, we're starting out with a Lovely Lipstick card base, and this is 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. So that's our card base. I have a medium size envelope that's going to go with it. For the inside of the card, I have a sheet of Whisper White that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. For the outside, I have a piece of designer series paper. This is our Lovely Lipstick. It's in the In Color collection of 6 by 6 papers in our catalog. This piece is 4 by 5 1/4. I have a piece of white at 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and then a scrap of white. I have my Thoughtful Blooms stamp set, and I have a 3/4 inch circle punch, and I have the punch for the flower out here just so you guys could see it and something it can do. For this card, I stamped the leaves onto a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and then I dry embossed it with our bricks and mortar embossing folder, and then I stamped the flowers onto scraps, punched them out and adhered them with Stampin' Dimensionals, and then just this is small circles I made a cute little thank you out of. And then I stamped on the inside as well. and the outside of the envelope. So more inspiration to use for this set. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to start with our card base. I'm going to go ahead and add this designer series paper right away. And then we're going to do some stamping. So this, like I said, this is going to be this layer on the front. And this is really quick and easy. Stampin' Up! Has two different kinds of stamps. Some of them are you stamp and color, and some of them you stamp and then color in. I find these ones a little bit faster to work with. Some people really like to color, they find it relaxing. So it's all a matter of what speaks to you and what you want to play with. So like I said, I'm just going to stamp these randomly. Tend to go in odd numbers. That seems to be a thing that designers tell us. Okay, so I'm over here scrubbing my stamp on my Stampin' Scrub, and as you can see, it's still pretty pink. And that bothers me. I know it doesn't bother some people because it does not affect the stamping, but it bothers me. So I got our stamp cleaning pad because I can rub the stamp on there and it removes a lot of the pink. So my stamps will last a little longer before they're really getting stained. And it usually doesn't make a difference. Sometimes when they're layering things like this and you need to be able to see through it to stamp over something else, I don't like it being stained. So Stampin' Up! Came with a solution. So that's the stamp cleaning pad. If you have not seen that in our catalog, you might want to go take a look. It's easy to miss, which is why I point it out all the time. Then I'm going to take Garden Green and I'm going to stamp some leaves. I've got two different kinds of leaves. I've got this set of 3 here that looks like it goes to the flower we just stamped on there. And I'm turning my paper so that I can line up and see where I'm stamping. It's better to turn the paper when you're fussy cutting, stamping, anything where you're trying to make an alignment, rather than trying to twist your hand into an unnatural position. It just seems so much simpler to turn the paper. So that's the first one. Then I've got this second one. And this is kind of a two-parter, and I will show you, because we're going to stamp the greenery, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to stamp the little buds that go on top of it. Now look, you want to make sure when you're using our pads that you're tapping very gently, because I tapped a little too hard and it hit the corner of the brick of the block, and I don't really want it to do that, because if I was to make an accidental rock, then it would show up on my cardstock, and we obviously don't want that. So when stamping with our pads, just do a gentle tap, 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 and then you want firm, even up and down pressure onto your cardstock. And then there's another little stamp that's just a bunch of dots, which doesn't really look like much, but this stamp is designed to go right over the top of this other one. All of the berries would align, or the flowers, buds, whatever they are, they would align perfectly by just setting this over the top. So I apologize if I'm leaning in too far and you see my head, or I pull this out of frame. I'm just trying to get right on top of it. It's easy to look straight down so you can line up and get those stamped right where they need to be. There we go. There, it's focused. If I was doing a bigger flower, I would probably use the Stamparatus because it would allow me a more precise placement. But because this is all over the place and so small, I figured it was better to just carefully stamp it with the clear blocks. And I'm also going to come in with a center to those flowers that are on there. So let's take a little darker color. Oops, I don't want the yellow, I want the red. See, that's why it's good to close up each pad when you're done. Not only so they don't dry out, but so you don't ink the wrong color. Now some of you may be panicking and going, oh my gosh, she got red ink on her yellow pad, which, you know, indeed I did, which is not optimal, but it's going to be easy to remove. I can take a little bit of tissue or something and just dab on it enough to get the red ink out of there, and then I can re-ink it with the re-inker. anytime the pad starts to go dry, all you do is you put a few drops of this on it, and then you rub it with the back of a spoon so that it evenly distributes all over, and the pad's as good as new. You can also use these for watercoloring, and you can use them to refill our Stampin' Write markers. So I find that every time I order an ink pad, I get a refill because number one, if it retires, I've got extra ink, and number two, there's so many uses for it. Another project I'm going to be doing soon, I've seen around, is, you know how alcohol inks are like now all the rage? You can put a couple of drops of our ink into some plain rubbing alcohol and then use that as alcohol ink. So again, like I said, so many ideas to do. There's just not enough hours in the day, right? So let's see, I'm thinking that needs one more. What do you think? Is it kind of blank there? Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to notch it on the sides. So this is just a half a circle into the card evenly across. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to have it go straight across. I'm trying to make this even here. And then I'm going to put a little niche here and a little niche here. Now don't panic. Yes, I'm writing on this card with ink, but that doesn't matter because that's the part I'm going to punch out. So now I'm going to come back in with my punch and I'm going to align it to where I'm taking out a notch, and then I'm going to come to the other side and use my little marker and take out a notch. And so that makes these two things evenly across. So see, we just took that ink mark right off there. We can also come in with a little flower. I guess we could do that here. And let's just stamp some of these around. Again, filling in that blank space. And any boo-boos. See, I've got a little bit of ink that came off my block there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and put a flower right over the top. So now that little ink blotch is part of my flower. It's not a boo-boo anymore. Let's see. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and wrap some baker's twine around there. You can use ribbon, you know, whatever you want. And I'm just going to wrap it around. And then I'm going to snip this off. Have you guys seen my new little charm? I made these for some of my customers so that they could set out their scissors and not worry about whose scissors were whose. So each person has a different flower or beads or butterfly, and we can all tell our scissors apart. This would also be a good thing I could show you guys because that's using Shrinky Dinks. Okay, now for tying this, some people find it a little difficult to try to keep this taut and tie a bow at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it straight. I'm going to make my little knot, go straight up and down, and then I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm going to grab the middle. And that keeps those together so that I can come in and tie a next knot. So then I can just come in and make my bow, and that knot is holding me straight. And I made my strings a little bit long so that I can come in and play with the strings and adjust my bow to be just the right size before I come back in and snip off this extra. Now, if this was a thicker ribbon, you might worry that when you go and place it on the card, that thick ribbon behind here would make it bulge a little bit right there. So that's one of the good things we can do with Stampin' Dimensionals is we can come in and use these to raise this layer above the card. It gives us some dimension, but it also, while we're at it, makes room for that ribbon to fly underneath and not make it bulky. So now I'm just using the lines on the checkerboard to line up this layer, so I know that's good and straight. And then I'm going to come in with my sentiment, which is congratulations. And I'm going to just stamp this on this scrap of paper. And I stamped first before punching because to me it's easier to do the stamping and then take and put my sentiment inside the punch where I can line it up and make sure that I'm straight. So even if I didn't do my stamping straight, when I put it in the punch and punch it out, I can make sure that it is straight within the shape. And again, I'm just putting it down, not hard enough to punch all the way through, just hard enough to hold it in place so that I can ensure that it's straight and centered and, you know, all that good stuff. And then once I'm satisfied that we're good, then I can do my punching. Now this is where our mini dimensionals come in handy because they are a little bit smaller than the standard dimensionals and work great underneath this everyday label punch. Okay, so there's our sentiment. And now we're going to decorate up the inside of the card and our envelope. So I'm just going to come in with my flowers again. Again, I'm trying to be random. All my years of accounting makes that really hard for me, so be patient, please. It's supposed to be artistically good, but I don't know, fries my little brain. So those are done in Daffodil Delight, lovely lipstick, and then we'll come in with some garden green for our leaves. Now I always do my stamping before adhering it to the card, because if I do something I'm not happy with and I want to be able to re-stamp this and try again, I can always flip it over and stamp on this side and then glue it into my card that way, and nobody's going to know how bad I messed up. And then for the envelope, you want to open it all the way up so that you can stamp off the edge. To me, that always looks more natural if you're making things kind of dump off the edge. And by opening it, I'm able to have it hang off that way. And then when I close it, I can come back and stamp the other way and have those hang off the edge. I kind of did a little goof right there. Perfect place for my leaves. So we'll just come in with my garden green and stamp right over the top of that. Hide those little boo-boos. So there's our card. Envelope, here's this part. And you'll notice I only put a little bit of adhesive on the back, a little bit in each corner. It doesn't need to be all the way around and covered the whole piece, because just that little bit will hold it in place. If you're extra worried that it might fall off, which, you know, it won't, but if you were worried, you could take your bone folder and rub on the back side, and that gives it a little more push so that the ink does indeed, or the adhesive does indeed. So there it is in lovely lipstick, and here it is in Blueberry Bushel. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial and you're interested in placing an order with me. I always appreciate your business. That does help me to stay home and do a job that I absolutely love, which is sharing my love of stamping with all of you. So if there's anything that you need, again, use that hostess code when placing an order online. There's a shop with me right on my blog at queenbeecreations.net. You can always contact me with an order, but for any order of $30 and more, you're going to get my PDF tutorial, and for $50 or more, you get my PDF tutorial and sale-a-bration free items while they're available. So get on there and place your orders, and I will see you next Monday at 2:30 here on Facebook Live. Thanks. Bye.